Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into my week number 10 college football predictions, where I go through 20 different things that I think are going to happen this weekend. Let's get right into it. Starting off, Alabama handling LSU on the road and covering the 13-point spread. It's kind of interesting, guys. I saw a lot of people that think LSU is going to cover and possibly win this game outright. I firmly believe LSU was completely overrated when they were ranked number 10 by the committee on Tuesday. You look at the schedule, it doesn't add up to me. I'm still not a believer in Jayden Daniels. I know he has momentum. I understand they crushed Ole Miss, but Alabama, to me, with their offense new and improved, Bryce Young starting to throw for a lot of yards, they're coming off a bye. He's more healthy. They have a really talented defense. They will win easily on the road. Number 2, crazy weather in the Ohio State Northwestern game, guys. Something to watch out for. Possible 30-mile-per-hour wind gusts. I think the overall play in this game would be the under 62. I can see maybe value on the Northwestern plus 38, but there are so many data points pointing towards an Ohio State like 52-7 type victory. So I think the only possible value if you're playing the weather would be the under 62. I don't know what the over-under is right now. The last time I checked, it was 62. James Madison, Louisville is a great game, possibly overtime. So kind of a rare non-conference ACC game. James Madison, we don't know really what to make of them. They were so good earlier this year, their first year in FBS. They get ranked, and then they lay 2 eggs. This game just has the vibe of a crazy game with a lot of points scored in the fourth quarter and maybe like a 34-31 type final. That's why I like the over 52. Number 4, Baylor beats Oklahoma, gets ranked. So yes, if Baylor beats Oklahoma on the road, they will be ranked even as a 3-loss team. They're underrated by a lot of casual fans who just look at wins and losses. This is a good football team. I think they beat Oklahoma on the road, but I don't know really what to make of Oklahoma because some weeks they look horrible on defense. Maybe Brett Venables, they've improved a little bit. We will have to see. I'll take Baylor on the road in an upset. Penn State wins a sleep fest at Indiana. Yeah, so Penn State coming off that emotional home loss to Ohio State, going on the road. It's a 3:30 game. They're 14-point favorites. I just feel like this game is going to be really uninteresting. Penn State will end up winning it, but they'll sleepwalk. They'll play good defense. The offense will be a little quiet, and they'll win this game. Number 6, Georgia beats Tennessee in a close game, and it sets up a potential nightmare scenario. So, guys, I don't think they would ever put 3 SEC teams in a 4-team playoff, but in this scenario, it is possible if Georgia beats Tennessee in a close game and then Alabama beats Georgia in the SEC championship game in a close one. You're talking about, I think at that point, Georgia would probably get left out, and Tennessee, even though they lost to Georgia, and Alabama would be in the playoff, but it is that potential nightmare scenario. Of course, if Alabama loses the SEC championship, it's pretty cut and dry. As long as Georgia and Tennessee both have 1 or no losses, they will both be in the playoff. Alabama, at that point, will already have 2 losses. They will miss out on the playoff and probably go to another New Year's Six Bowl. It is an interesting dynamic. Tennessee could beat Alabama twice this year if they meet in the SEC championship. But guys, Georgia right now, 8-point favorites. Worst case scenario is a close Georgia win. If Georgia blows out Tennessee, you can make the argument that Tennessee, if they don't even make the SEC championship, they shouldn't be in because they got blown out. But if they lose a game by 3 points, that is the nightmare scenario. Number 7, Houston beats SMU on the road. Proves me right. So this is just a little funny thing. I loved Houston before the season started. Of course, they kind of struggled early on. It looks like their offense is finding their footing. I like them to beat SMU as around 3.5-point underdogs, and this will really give them some good momentum for their season. Number 8, South Carolina, Vanderbilt combined for 30 points. So, South Carolina, coming off that really disappointing loss against Missouri, they finally get ranked, and then they score 10 points. This game just has nothing burger written all over it. Both of these teams are going to be miserable. The crowd atmosphere, the energy is going to be horrible. I think it's a 20-10 type victory for South Carolina on the road. Number 9, Miami plays a close game with Florida State, covers the spread. So this is the ABC 7:30 game. Miami, they need any sort of energy at this point with Mario Cristobal. It's been an absolute disaster this year. They're going to be galvanized. They're at home in a primetime spot. Maybe the crowd shows up and plays FSU close. FSU really isn't that great of a team. I mean, they've been better than I thought they were going to be this year, but they've kind of come back to the pack over these past few weeks. I will take Miami covering the 7.5-point spread. Georgia Southern beats South Alabama at home as 4-point underdogs. I just think it's a really bad matchup for a South Alabama team that struggles mightily on offense. Georgia Southern, really explosive offense. They're at home. I'll take Georgia Southern to win that game outright. Number 11, UCLA and Arizona State combined for 85 points. So here's a funny little storyline, guys. The over-under in this game opened at 62. I came out on Monday with my best bets video and said, both of these, I love the over. Just the overall vibe, the way this game is shaping up. It's at 9:30. I love the over. And guys, I think the over-under, at least the last time I checked, 66.5. That's a 4-point move up. It's like people were listening to me. This line got bet up like crazy. Both of these teams are going to be scoring a ton in my opinion. It's just a vibe I'm getting. Love this game to be high scoring. Texas A&M beats Florida at home. So I guess this really isn't a bold prediction. Texas A&M is favorites over Florida, but I do think this is a parity game. If Texas A&M beats Florida, they will both have the same record. A&M has the crowd. They've got the young quarterback, the energy on offense now. Florida at this point, they're just a dead team. I know Anthony Richardson is improving a little bit. Unfortunately for Florida, I think Anthony Richardson might go to the draft, which would be worst case scenario because Anthony Richardson is a pure project who needs more time to develop, but we know NFL's obsession with these quarterbacks that are really athletic and have high upsides. A team might draft Anthony Richardson late in the first round. So, I mean, Anthony Richardson right now is really not a good college quarterback, or he's like average. He can be great next year, but he might leave to the NFL before next year, so it might be worst case scenario. It'll be interesting to see what Anthony Richardson does. Right now, I think he's coming back to Florida, but you never know, man. These teams, they don't care. You know, if you throw 10 interceptions in college, 20, as long as you have upside, they will draft you. It'll be interesting. Hendon Hooker plays well in loss, but leaves the door open. And by door, I mean Heisman door. And the Heisman Trophy this year is going to come down to 2 games. It's Hendon Hooker and what he does against Georgia, and it's C.J. Stroud and what he does against Ohio State. That is the Heisman race. Both of them right now, I believe, have similar odds. It comes down to, is Hendon Hooker on the road at Georgia? Does he throw for 4 touchdowns and they win? He wins the Heisman. C.J. Stroud in a revenge game versus Ohio State at home. Versus Michigan at home. If he trounces Michigan and throws 5 touchdowns, he wins the Heisman. This is what the Heisman Trophy comes down to, folks. Kentucky beats Missouri on the road. Levis bounces back, so Will Levis needs a good game. I believe the spread on this game is down to 1, but I just feel like Kentucky, you know, they had the horrible loss to Tennessee. I think it's a little bit of an aberration. They're not as bad as they played in that game. Will Levis is better than that, and he's going to come back, and he knows because of the NFL draft, he's going to be very motivated to play well in this one. Drake May finally struggles in a noon game at Virginia. So guys, Drake May right now leads college football in touchdowns, responsible for, I feel like he's due for a clunker, and it's not a good situation in a noon matchup at Virginia. Very boring type game. I'm concerned. I don't like the overall vibe for North Carolina in this one. Lot of professional bettors betting on Virginia to cover the 7.5-point spread at home in a noon window game. Number 16, TCU covers at home versus Texas Tech. So guys, it's crazy. A lot of professionals on Texas Tech plus 9.5 or a plus 10, and then it got bet down. I think TCU, they're going to use the momentum. They're going to feel disrespected being ranked by the committee behind one-loss Alabama. Texas Tech really isn't that good, especially when they're on the road. TCU wins this game 48-31. Number 17, North Texas with a 50-burger on FIU. So it is interesting. North Texas 21-point favorites. FIU has been playing better football. We thought there for a while that FIU was the worst team in FBS. I think right now it's very clearly UMass because FIU is playing better. But yeah, guys, also Hawaii's playing a little bit better as well. North Texas with a 50-burger alert in that one. Ohio State with a possible 60-burger against Northwestern, or actually at Northwestern on the road. I'm just concerned about the weather in that one. And you know, obviously it comes down to if Ohio State's got 52 points in the fourth quarter, will they try? They might just run the ball. So it'll be interesting. But Ohio State, possible 60-burger there. Tulsa shocks Tulane at home. So Tulane getting some serious respect from the playoff committee, being ranked inside the top 20. I think Tulsa and their passing attack wins a shootout, maybe 34-31 over Tulane at home. They're currently 7.5-point underdogs. Oregon State, Washington, under 54.5, guys. I said this, I don't know if the over-under has moved at all. I'm telling you right now, there is supposed to be a monsoon rainstorm in Seattle, Washington tonight. The final score of this game might be 17-14. There's going to be no score, even with Washington's passing attack. It is crazy. It's a monsoon. It's going to flood the field. Guys, get in on the under quickly. Although, I don't know, maybe the over-under's been bet down already. Either way, they're expecting a monsoon. We know how much it rains in Seattle. I just had to add that in at the end because I saw it. But guys, those are my top 20 predictions for college football week number 10. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.